Christ, the Anointed One. But the devotion of the Sacred Heart, we Orthodox, we did not have. And I'm an Orthodox, as I said, and he came to present himself to me as the Sacred Heart. Now, coming back to the Father, Jesus once described the Father, and these words are really the exact words. They are not many, but it describes and reveals the portrait of our Father, or if you want, reveals the heart of our Father in heaven, our Creator. He said, "My Father is King, yet he is so motherly. He is Judge, yet so tender and so loving. He is the Alpha and the Omega, that means the beginning and the end, completely almighty and powerful, yet so meek." So this was the description of our Father in heaven. And my experience with the Father has always been this experience of meekness, tenderness, love. Whenever the Father spoke, I always heard him in this way, very gentle. I heard him also upset in other messages when God the Father speaks, and he was upset about us, of how we are behaving in our times, in our morality, and all this. And he tells us everything. But he comes to us as a father, to reproach us as a father, reprimand us, but not to condemn us. And we can be condemned in the day of judgment. And that depends, as God said in one of the messages here that I received, he said, in the judgment day, everybody will be judged according to the measure of the love you have had here on earth. So that is why the love is very, very important. To act with love, to pray with love, to fast with love, to whatever you do, to do it with love and offer it to God. All these will be counted one day. Now, the Father had asked me in the beginning if I wanted to love him more, and I had said yes, but I cannot do it alone. He said he would help me, and he will teach me how to progress in the love. Now, you would say, why does he come to you and speak to you, Vassula? What about us? I'm just repeating again that this message that God the Father has given to me, without any merit, it is not for me only. Otherwise, I would be happy in my own little house, enjoying his presence without any problems, having to go out, transmit it, having to face people who look at you and say, do you believe her? She's a false prophet. She's inventing all this. And I have all these things on my head. As yet I have to continue. Because God wants me to continue in this mission. He has given me so much, and he says, now you be my echo. Go out to the nations and give what I have given you. And I have been taking dictation for 13 years. The first 3 years where I was hidden, I would say, because God did not want his message to make it known. He just wanted me to keep writing all what he was giving me. So I used to write everything. Although he was telling me, go out and give it. So the pressure was on me. He was saying, go out, and yet he was not giving me the possibilities. And yet he was saying to me, don't go out yourself and say, look what I have. I will bring the people all the way to your doorstep, and then when they come to your doorstep and ask you about the message, you give it to them. But you yourself, don't throw yourself out to go and say, God wants me to go to you. No, I will send them to you to be invited. And that is how the mission will be. Many times, in the beginning, when God the Father was dictating to me, and it was very fresh still. You see, I was a person who was running to the clubs, playing tennis, had friends, cocktail parties, the whole lot, I would say, in these developing countries where my husband worked. And so it was difficult for me sometimes to find myself morning, lunch, afternoon, in this room writing, because He was dictating to me all these things. And I said, look at the nice weather and I'm not even meeting my friends. And one day I said, all right, if it is you, because I had also doubts, if it is you giving me all this dictation, these things, nobody will know about them. All these papers that I've been writing now will finish in a drawer and collect dust. Nobody would even read this. He said, I am God. And what I have blessed and commenced, I will finish, and I will send you to all nations to give and transmit my message. I will not let anybody not know about it, but I will give the possibility to every nation to read my love letter to them. And he called it his love letter, although the title is called True Life in God. True Life in God. But he calls it his love hymn, he calls it his love letter to all humanity. Because I want you to know that when God the Father speaks, when he speaks, he doesn't come to speak to crush you down and condemn you. He comes to give you hope, to lift you, tell you, hey, you are my child, but you forgot me, Come back to your senses, because I'm your only father, and one day you'll finish up in my courts, and I want you to come up in my courts. I don't want you to be lost. So he comes back and tries to put some sense in our heads and asks us certain things that many people do not practice anymore. Like, turn to God. Have him as first. Pray. That's the key. The contact to God is prayer. Because when you pray, you speak to God. And it becomes a prayer. And the most powerful prayer that he has given us is called the unceasing prayer. Now you'll say, what is this unceasing prayer? Well, I'll tell you when I'm going to speak about Jesus, what the unceasing prayer is. In the next, probably, program, I will speak about the unceasing prayer and what Jesus, how he taught us, and he teaches us. I say us because it's for you also, the message. And in fact, he says, take away Vassula's name from the beginning and put in your name, because I'm speaking to you and to everybody. It's not only for Vassula, this message. Because if it was for Vassula, I would have her hidden, and she and I would have these messages for herself. But it's for the benefit of everybody. And I had a problem in the beginning to really believe that this is happening to me and to digest that our Creator is really speaking to me. I had never heard in my life before that God is giving locutions, this word locution, that God is speaking inside the soul, but distinctively, word for word. Even words in English that I never knew before, I got to know from God. One day he said, for instance, and he was sad, he came and he started with the word